very much, Mark, and thanks for the invite to chat to everyone today. So I'm just going to see if I can show my screen here now. And now, so hopefully you can all see my full screen now. And I'll just move myself out of the way there. Okay, perfect. So yeah, my name is Laura Mahony, performance nutritionist and registered dietitian. I work up at the Sports Institute, and I work with some of the national training squad. So some of our swimmers who are based up at the National Training Centre, along with multiple other sports. And what I am hoping to do tonight is, so we have two 30-minute sessions. So we have half an hour this evening, and then I'm going to follow it up with half an hour tomorrow evening. So today, what I was looking to talk to you about today is fueling your immune system. So working around your schedule and making sure that you're fueled and fit and healthy so as you can stay in the pool, and see if there's any lessons learned from lockdown 1 that we can be applying to lockdown 2. And then tomorrow evening, it's a practical application. So tomorrow evening, I will hopefully be in a kitchen somewhere yet to be found, and I will be doing some snack ideas. So it'll be like you can kind of make as we go, and really that's just to give you, I suppose, the whole idea of what we're going to be talking about is planning ahead. So if you're able to make up a batch of snacks that you know will help fuel your swimming when you do get back into the pool, or when schedules start getting busy again, then it just makes life much easier. So the idea is that we do take whatever questions we have time for this evening, but otherwise we'll hold off on answering some of those questions, and they'll make up tomorrow's session along with the practical application. So in terms of what can good nutrition do for you, so like if I think I have 3 true or false statements here. So can good nutrition, can it allow you to train harder, therefore adapt and become stronger? So in terms of what are we thinking here? Are we thinking true or false? So make use of, I suppose, the chat function or the Q&A function here. So hopefully everyone is putting in that this is true. What else can good nutrition do for you? So in terms of keeping your immune system fueled, thereby reducing the risk of illness and keeping you in the pool more often, true or false? And yet, I suppose my job is making sure that athletes are available as often as possible so as you can train and adapt and become better. So the role of the performance nutritionist is making sure that the availability of our athletes is high, and our immune system is fueled by the energy that we put into our system. So it's making sure that you are well fueled, which will then help your immune system to work optimally, which will reduce risk of illness. And finally, good nutrition. Can it improve recovery in between sessions, thereby reducing risk of injury? Again, true or false? And again, it's one of the parts I'm going to touch on here. It's your recovery, and the timing of your recovery is crucial to make sure that you are your body's adapting, and like we say, reducing risk of injury and also risk of illness. So true, true, and true for all of those 3 statements. So a little quiz here for you then. So I want you to put these in order of importance. So we have number 1, protein to help muscles grow. Number 2, carbohydrates to help fuel your body to do your training. Number 3, water to keep you hydrated. Number 4, calcium to help your bones grow strong. Number 5 is your sleep. Number 6 is fruit and veg to provide vitamins and antioxidants to help with recovery. And number 7 is fiber to keep your gut healthy. Where do you think they should be in terms of order of importance? So is anyone going to venture anything into our chat box here? No? Oh, I'm gone. Let me go back.
There are some there, Laura.
Oh, are there? Okay.
All
And
equal.
what sort of numbers have we got, Mark?
Lots of numbers, lots of letters. Uh, they are all equally important. And then somebody said 3, and then 2, and then 1 and 2 plus 5, which is 8, I think. The 5, 3, 3, 5, 2, ETT 2, 3, 1, 6. Right.
Brilliant. Well, that's what, and that's the beauty of it, is that everyone, everyone thinks that, oh, well, it's definitely number 1 and 2. Once I have my protein and my carbohydrate, then I'm fine. Or some people will say, well, actually, fiber, keeping your gut healthy, that doesn't really apply. But actually, your gut is a huge part of keeping you fit and healthy, and your immune system. So the first answer you read out there, Mark, was actually right. They're all of equal importance. So I would put them all as a number 1. So like, yes, you might have your protein and your carbohydrates, but without your micronutrients, so without your vitamin C, your calcium, your iron, your body's not going to work optimally. And similarly, you might have all the food down to a T, but your sleep might be great. So then you're not optimizing recovery, and you're putting your body at risk of from your immune system's point of view. So they're all equally of importance. So well done to whoever did put that answer down for us. So then moving on, in terms of keeping you fit and healthy and ready for a return to the pool. So yes, I know pools are closed at the moment for the majority of people. So I suppose what I want us to do is to think of, like, when we do return to the pool, or when our training sessions change, what factors can potentially be affecting our immune system? So what do we need to focus on? So there's a couple of pieces here. So our long haul travel and our environmental extremes are probably ruled out at the moment due to our lockdown, but the other 4 are key ones that we do have control over. So heavy exercise can actually lower your immunity, hence the importance of nutrition and recovery at the right times. Stresses and sleep disruption can then also impact on immunity. So the 2 I'm going to focus on today are your nutritional deficits and sleep disruption. So what can you do to make sure that you're doing everything you can to fuel your immune system? So deficits can arise by not having enough fuel. So in terms of your total and the type of energy that you're putting into your body. So it's key that you are looking at your schedule, your weekly schedule, your timetable, and you're adapting, or you're changing your fuel depending on what your training volume, training intensity is for whatever week you're working at a time. Deficits can also arise from hydration point of view. So hydration is vital for, yes, from a concentration point of view, but also from your immune system. And number 3 is recovery. So like I said, you might actually put in enough food, but you mightn't be putting it in at the right time. So having your timing and the type of food is essential, along with sleep. So when we talk about our 4 hours of recovery, we have our rest, so sometimes sleep is forgotten about. So rest, rehydrate, refuel, and repair will be your 4 hours of recovery. So again, when I'm talking about nutritional deficits, what do I mean? So I just have a couple of visuals here, which should just make it that little bit easier. So nutritional deficits, sometimes people will automatically think of your micronutrients, so your vitamins and minerals. Yes, they're essential, but also your total energy, so your carbohydrates, which are going to provide the energy for the working muscles, your proteins for your growth and development, your fats for like an energy source, but also some of your fat soluble vitamins as well, and like I said, water, so your hydration. So that's one way of looking at it, just in terms of your circle and getting all of your nutrients in. Another way of looking at it is your food pyramid. Again, a lot of people think this is very outdated when it comes from a sporting nutrition point of view, but actually, if you the majority of your food is coming from your whole grains, so your carbohydrate sources for your energy, your fruit and veg intake being part of each meal, and then you're getting your protein sources and your essential fats, it's the same, I suppose it's the same concept, it's just applied in a different visual format. And then the one that I probably use the most when I'm working with athletes is the plate models. And I'm going to, I suppose, talk through the plate models in a little bit more detail here. But when I'm working with athletes, what I'm trying to get people to do is to think of every meal in terms of, do you have a source of whole grains on your plate? Do you have a source of fruit or veg on your plate? Do you have your source of protein on your plate? And then are you adding in your extra fats and your fluids as needed? So if you're able to say that every plate, every meal is based on this type of a plate, then it's easy to adapt your plates according to the portion sizes and the training that you need. So we have 3 different plates. We have like an easy training, our blue plate, we have our moderate training, which is the one you just saw, and then we have your hard training plate. So if I go back to your easy training, so you'll see that across all 3 of them, the exact same components are there. So you have your whole grains, you have your fruit and veg, and you have your protein. But the one that I suppose changes, or the one that you have most control over when it comes to adapting for your energy sources, depending on what your training schedule is like, is going to be your carbohydrates and your fats. So if your training is severely hampered because of lockdown, it might be a case that you're looking to reduce your portion sizes. So portion sizes of carbohydrates might reduce, but they don't go completely. So if you're in a hard training phase, it could be a case that actually up to half of your plate at any one time, so whether we're talking about breakfast, lunch, dinner, could be your whole grain section of your plate. But you'll see here that you still keep your protein, and it might be a case that you have less of your veg because your veg isn't as nutrient dense. And during a hard training phase, you're needing more energy dense foods along with more fats. So they're good visuals to get you thinking about, okay, is each of my meal making up that type of a format? So with our current lockdown, so with the majority of pools being closed, do you have a reduced training volume, or are you on, is it maybe your volume is the same, you're just on a different type of training modality? So what you still need to do is plan your meals based around your schedule. So keep into your usual routine, keep into your breakfast, lunch and dinners. Maybe it's a case that snacks may need to be reduced or portion sizes may need to be reduced if your volume, if your total volume has reduced. But the key thing to remember is that you don't eliminate any food. So you're not looking to cut out any one food group. You're keeping everything, you're just reducing portion sizes or changing combinations of your plate. You want to keep protein at each meal, because remember, protein is what it's essential for, it makes us feel fuller for longer, and it also helps to maintain lean muscle mass. Fiber and your fruit and veg, and those two kind of go hand in hand, but they're going to be what's going to keep us feeling fuller for longer. And they're also a lot more nutrient dense. So it's important to make sure that each meal has a combination of some form of fiber and some form of fruit and veg. So how does this work out in reality? So say, for example, we're going from someone who may have been doing a 2.5 hour session in a pool on a Saturday morning, and you would have had a large carbohydrate based breakfast in advance of a session like that. So this is one of the athletes who typically would have his chocolate Cheerios and his Weetabix, which is a high carb meal with his protein, and is perfect for either just before, for leading into a big session, or for as part of recovery after a session. But if that training is now cut down to maybe half an hour on an indoor bike, or whatever your current alternative is, maybe it's a case that you look at swapping around. So instead of a large carbohydrate based meal, maybe it's a combination meal of bread, eggs and veg. So it looks more like a moderate training plate where you have a better mix of nutrients. So that's just one example of how that would look like in terms of how one meal could change to another meal depending on intensity of training that you have. Other examples are, say, for breakfast. So a blue plate is an easy training day, or it could be a rest day. So an example of a breakfast on that day could be an omelette, which would be filled with some veg plus toast. So you're getting your veg and your eggs, which are giving you your protein, and your whole grain toast would be giving you your carbohydrate. If it was a grey plate or a moderate training day, it could be a case that you have your large bowl of porridge plus your banana, which is your fruit, plus your honey and yogurt. So between your milk and your yogurt, you're getting your protein source, you're getting your carbohydrates from your protein from your porridge and your honey, and your fruit from your banana. And then if it's a red plate day, it could be the example of the one that you just saw, or it could be where you add toast along with your honey and porridge and banana and glass of orange juice. So they're just, I suppose there's small little tweaks that you can do. So if you look here at these examples of 3 breakfast pictures that we have here. So our first one is muesli with yogurt, honey, nuts, and fruit. So that would be what you would probably classify as a moderate training day, or an easy training day, due to, I suppose, the combination. It's a small portion of muesli, which is your smaller section of your carbohydrates. If you look at your beans, toast, eggs, and bacon one. So this section of it here, so your eggs and your bacon is your protein section. Your beans is counted here as one of your portions of veg, and your toast is your carbohydrate. So that's a kind of a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 section. And then your smoothie, the beauty of a smoothie is that it can be made to whichever one of these you want. So it can be made to a blue plate day, an easy day, it can be made to a moderate day, or it can be made to a red plate day, just by changing up the ingredients that you put into it. So say, for example, it's a heavy training day, or it's a competition day where you're going to be in and out of the water, and you're wanting to refuel and pre-fuel. So refuel after race 1 and pre-fuel for upcoming the next heat. So your combination of a smoothie on that day could be your porridge oats mixed with your milk and protein plus peanut butter, banana, honey. So a combination of all of your energy containing foods, your quick release carbs, your slow release carbs, and if it's a case then that it is a lower energy day, then, or it's after a gym session that you're doing, and you know that you're going to have a meal coming up shortly, you might decide, well, okay, I don't need to put in the porridge oats because I'm still going to have my banana plus my yogurt plus my milk plus my peanut butter, say, for example, and then I'll be sitting down to a dinner later on. So smoothies are just, they're brilliant getting into a routine of finding one that you like and mixing and matching, so as you know how you can adapt to the different energy demands. So we've looked at fueling, so total and type of energy. So the next section I want us to look at is hydration. And the reason why, again, is it's vital to your immune system. Being dehydrated can compromise you, and obviously it'll affect you from a concentration and an endurance point of view. So have a simple task for you to do there now is basic needs. From a hydration point of view, your basic needs are 35 mils of fluid per kg body weight. So say, for example, I have a 60-kilo athlete, multiplied by 35 mil, their baseline fluid intake is going to be 2.1 litres. That's baseline because any training session will be extra on top of that. And a training session could be up to about 750 mil extra. So if you were training twice, it could be an extra 1.5 litres on top of that. But even if you just do that there now for yourself, so work out what 35 mil multiplied by your kg in body weight gives for your baseline fluid intake. Now, next task is to have a think about all the liquids that you've drank today. So bear in mind that it's coming up on 8 p.m. and most of your fluid intake should already be taken on board, because the later you drink at night, obviously the more chances there are that you're going to have to get up during the night to go to the bathroom. So you want to avoid disrupting your sleep. So you want to have had the majority of your fluid intake taken on board by now. So I just have a couple of examples up there, like, so a paper cup like that would be 200 ml, a mug could be 350 ml, a glass like that, so if you'd had a glass of milk, you're probably talking about 400, about 400 to 500 ml, and that water bottle that is there is about 750 ml. So it'd be interesting to see if, with all your fluids combined, so with your water, with your milk, with your tea, with your coffee, with your fruit juice, whatever you might have drank so far, have you got your minimum fluid intake on board? But if you've already trained today, remember that you'll be adding at least 750 ml extra on top of that. So have you got that fluid intake? And that should be something that you're doing on a daily basis. So making sure that you're always hitting your minimum, plus then remembering to add on extra for training sessions. And with hydration and with recovery, so that's why I suppose those smoothies and having a fluid-based recovery drink is very useful for after training sessions, because it'll tick your hydration point of view. So rehydrating after a training session is crucial to making sure that you're hitting the proper recovery at the proper time. And a smoothie is just one of those really good combination foods that does all of those three things in one go, and you can change up the carbs and the protein, like I said. So that's just to get you thinking a little bit about your own personal hydration. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on this evening was sleep. So in terms of sleep quality and quantity, we're looking at making sure that you're getting 8 to 10 hours of quality sleep a night. So some basic sort of sleep hygiene pieces are, and the first one's the hardest one to do. So how many of us actually leave our phone out of our bedroom at night time? So it's probably one of the reasons why you might be in bed for 8 hours, but actually the quality of sleep that you've got could be down on 7 hours because you've spent 45 minutes scrolling through your phone before you even fall asleep. So it's something to try and to see if it does help improve quality and quantity of sleep. Routine is also key. So trying to stick to same bedtimes and wake times, especially if you have trouble sleeping. So if you're someone who does struggle with sleep, routine is vital, as is avoiding caffeine. So caffeine is a stimulant, so and it has a long half-life, so it stays in our system for quite a while. So normally we'd be talking about 2 or 3 o'clock is sort of a cutoff for avoiding caffeine. Also, if you're someone who struggles with sleep and struggles staying asleep, avoiding screens. So the blue light can have an effect on your sleep quality. So these are all things just to consider, so as you're improving the quality and thereby then the quantity that you're going to get. So also the one that I just mentioned there, timing your fluid intake, so as you're not getting up during the night to go to the bathroom. I'm assuming most people here are in the sort of 14 to 17, maybe a few in that 18 to 25 category. So we're looking at the 8 to 10 hours at 7 to 9 hours sleep. But like I said, there's no point getting 9 hours of crap quality sleep. So it's making sure that it's good quality sleep. And the reason why we talk about sleep is because studies have shown that poor sleep and an unhealthy diet combined can increase risk of sustaining injuries in adolescent athletes. So it's not just anecdotal. There's good evidence out there that by taking on board some of the pieces we've talked about here this evening, that you can actually reduce your risk of injury. So I suppose just in terms then of specifically in terms of immunity, is there anything that you need to do differently? Well, obviously during current COVID times, you need to be very, very, very mindful of hand washing, cough and sneeze etiquette. You need to plan your meals around your training schedules and maintain good hydration. So being that bit more mindful of when you're eating and what you're eating and making sure you're on top of hydration. Vitamin C, making sure that all of your meals contain a source of fruit and veg, that all of your colours aren't coming from a packet of Skittles. So we want you to eat the rainbow. Sleep for at least 8 to 10 hours, remembering your hygiene. And then vitamin D, in terms of either supplementation or food fortification, would be something to consider, because most of our vitamin D does come from the sunlight, and due to our latitude, due to the position of Ireland, we get very poor sunlight during this winter season. So either making sure that your food that you're consuming is fortified where possible. So some of our milks are fortified with vitamin D, egg yolks, some of our cereals, your oily fish are good vitamin D sources, or consider taking a supplement such as maybe about 25 micrograms or 1,000 international units of vitamin D during the winter months. So there are some of your key immunity pieces, and it's just a case of, I suppose, putting it all together. One of the things that a lot of the athletes we were working with struggled with during lockdown 1 was boredom eating. So I suppose try to get people to focus on timing of your meals and snacks around your new schedule, planning your meals in advance. And one of the guys had to stick this sign up on his fridge: "You're not hungry, you're just bored." So avoid the kitchen if it's just boredom. Doing something that'll distract you from just random eating. Keeping fruit at eye level. So an awful lot of the time, like, your fruit might be stuffed in the bottom of the fridge. So if it's not there at eye level, you're unlikely to take a piece of fruit. And the final piece is planning, and that's why tomorrow evening session is going to be a snack station, where we're going to do energy balls, overnight oats, egg muffins. So they're just really simple, practical snacks that when you do get back to the pool, when you are going between school and the pool, and life gets that bit busier, that you do have a combination of foods that you can just easily pack and bring with you. So if you want to make along with me, so if you want to have those ingredients there that I have listed ready with you, it's a good time to double job, I suppose, do two things at the once. So you can actually make up a batch of energy balls while I'm chatting for half an hour tomorrow evening. So 48 mixed nuts, 6 dessert spoons of desiccated coconut, 12 dates, and optional is if you want a little bit of dark chocolate to drizzle over them, but it's not even needed. They're delicious as they are. So that is it from me, I think.